Yeah, thanks for coming today. My name is Charles Schrog, and I work for King County Department of Community and Human Services. And we help administer the Human Services Bus Ticket Program along with our friends at King County Metro, who are represented today by Mark Konechny. And then Sky Hayfley, who also works with me at DCHS, the Department of Community and Human Services, is here today helping to monitor the chat and keep our Zoom call running smoothly. So we'll just start with, let's see, there's 39 of us, so it's kind of a big group, so I don't think we'll do in-person introductions for everyone. But I'm kind of wondering how many folks are new to this program. So I'm gonna put a little poll out that you should be able to respond to. And let me know how long you as an individual have worked with the bus ticket program, whether that was at a different agency, whether that was as a case manager giving out tickets or an admin person submitting logs, whatever the role was, just how many years have you done bus ticket stuff? Cool. Well, it's interesting to see the first year is definitely taking the lead, but then years 5 through 10 also has a pretty significant number. So I guess once you make it to year 5 with the bus ticket program, you're locked in and you just keep coming back. So that's great. How about if you know, how long has your agency participated in the bus ticket program? So maybe you've taken a break here and there, but like in general, how many years have you participated? Oh, there's a duplicate one there. Just ignore the first one. Wow, so it looks like over half the organizations in the room have done the program for more than 5 years. So that tells me, these two things combined tell me that your organizations have a lot of history with the program, and maybe some of you are new, and you should know that it's not uncommon to step into a role with the bus ticket program and not always have all the information that you feel like you should have. It's kind of a unique program. And I know that those things don't always get passed down. I know that our coworkers work hard and try to do that, make that happen, but times are busy and places are short-staffed. So don't feel like you are alone in being confused potentially or having questions. We want you to ask questions. And today we will have opportunity to do that throughout the presentation. So just do a little agenda. So we'll talk a little bit about the program in general, and then we'll talk about how your agency is eligible to receive tickets, and then what agreements you have to sign and execute with King County in order to participate in the program, the process for applying, and then finally, Mark from King County Metro will walk through some of the details around purchasing tickets. And we'll take 3 breaks to do questions. So we'll do questions sort of after agency agreements, and then again, we'll do questions about the application process specifically. And then third, we'll do questions about ticketing. And if you ask a question and it's not necessarily relevant to that section, we might just ask that you hold it to the end of the presentation. So. And if you have questions, you're also welcome to put them in the chat, and Sky should be able to help compile those too. So yeah, so it was established by King County Council in 1993. It's written into county code, and it provides about $4 million a year in foregone metro revenue that's turned around and provides tickets to agencies. And as an agency, you pay 90% of the cost. Sorry, you pay 10% of the cost of the tickets, and Metro pays the remaining 90%. So in 2019, we had 169 agencies that were awarded. In 2020, it shot up to above 200. And then, as many of you know, there was no fare collection for much of 2020. And so even though we had a real high number of participants, there weren't actually a lot of tickets that were given out that year. And then this year, the number has kind of dropped down again. So So a little background on sort of how the program operates. So King County Metro handles the sales of and tracking of their sale of tickets. Sorry, my cat is meowing. They also administer other low-income fare programs like the Orca Lift program that you may be familiar with, and the reduced regional fare permit. DCHS, that's who I work for. We do the RFP application process. We monitor the program. So we do site visits with a handful of agencies every year. We check the usage logs that you're required to submit. And we also run an annual reallocation process, which we'll go into more detail about later. But if your agency is awarded tickets for 2022, you'll be asked to purchase them by September. And whatever is not purchased by September, we then reallocate to organizations who did spend their allotment. So it's an opportunity sort of I'm sorry, my door just rang. Sorry about that, I didn't know if it would stop, so. Yeah, so the reallocation process is a way to help make sure that tickets are spent out in the year and don't end up sitting unused. We have a website that you are welcome to visit, and we'll have the link available elsewhere too, but the website is where you can go if you have questions. It has information about ordering tickets. It has the reporting forms that you'll need to use. And it also has a link to the RFP application, which we will go through today. But if you want or have questions, that's kind of the best place to go first. So agency eligibility, the first criteria is you have to be a 501c3 or housing authority or local government or a federally recognized tribe. And you must serve people who are experiencing homelessness and or are low income. So one or the other or both. They don't need to be experiencing homelessness if they're low income. And if they're homeless and not low income, they would still qualify too. You need to be able to disperse tickets to people who meet the eligibility requirements. And you must purchase tickets by September 16th, 2022. Now, if you were in the program in 2020, you'll know that we actually got rid of that purchasing deadline because there was no fare collection for half the year. And so everybody really universally had not spent their full allotment. And so there was no reason to reallocate. So we made an exception in 2020. Typically, and I anticipate it'll be the case next year too, we will have a purchasing deadline of September 16th. And then finally, you have to be in good standing with the program, and that means that you completed all your usage logs already for this year. And if you had a monitoring visit, you passed the monitoring visit with no major findings, which everyone this year passed the monitoring visit with no findings. So it's great. In general, we really prioritize getting tickets out into the community. So we encourage you to think about what resources you have available to purchase tickets and think creatively about ways to get them into the community. For many years, there has been sort of a sense of shortage around bus tickets. And the last couple of years, we actually have been pretty significantly underspent, partially because of COVID, also because fares have moved to the Orca card. And there's a lot of new low-income great Orca products out there, so it's kind of lower demand for tickets. But so if you've been doing this for a while and you maybe have like really strict guidelines because you've never had enough tickets and you've always been rationing, this is the year to think about other ways to use the tickets, right? So maybe, if you have a youth sports program, let's say, and you give each kid a ticket every week, well, if that kid's family qualifies too, you could give the family tickets every week to come to the game or the practice, right? So yeah, just be creative in sort of rethinking your current strategy if you have one. Because we really have resources available, I anticipate. So some of the documents that you need to complete as part of the application process, you'll need to submit a policy and procedure document. We have a template available for you in Zoom Grants, which is the website that we use for the application. And it really lays out all the sort of important policies and procedures elements that we need to see. You're welcome to customize, and we encourage you to customize that to meet the needs of your organization. And then if your agency is awarded, you will need to sign a memorandum of agreement, which is also in Zoom Grants, and it's an electronic form that your agency will sign. And then you'll also need to submit a signature list. And again, this is after the award is made, so not part of the application process. You'll submit a signature list, which lets Metro know who's authorized to come pick up tickets on behalf of your agency. And that's a form you download out of Zoom Grants, and you sign it either electronically or by hand, and then upload it back into Zoom Grants, where we can then confirm that the person coming to pick up is indeed, represents your agency. So as part of the memorandum of agreement, you need to agree to give tickets to intended recipients only. So that means having, a strict policy about how tickets are stored, how they're given out, who's eligible for them. In particular, something we'd seen in the past is they've been used like for staff or volunteers or in exchange for work. And we don't, they cannot be used for staff, and we really, really discourage them being used in exchange for any work on behalf of clients. There's other ways that you can get tickets into people's hands that don't require that sort of one-for-one trade. So, and I'm happy to talk about that too with anybody who that specifically applies to. So, and you have to track tickets on the client level. So we have log sheets where each ticket given out has a line that you fill out information about who the ticket was given to. And then that's rolled up into a semi-annual report that you put into Zoom Grants twice a year. Other requirements are if tickets are lost or stolen, which does happen, unfortunately, you need to submit a form that's available on our website, sort of explaining what happens. And it's not, it happens every year. And as long as you're taking all the precautions you can, it's not an issue if it happens. We just need to know and have it reported. And finally, don't resell tickets. If you decide you don't need all your tickets after you're awarded, and maybe another organization that does, talk to us about that. If they're already participating, we can potentially make arrangements or have it brought back into the pool and divided up. But don't resell tickets even to other organizations. So that's some of the program specifics. Are there any questions so far? I see one in the chat. Will the recording be sent out to all meeting participants? Yes, it will be. It'll also be posted on our website by Friday. Another question is, in the log, do you have to give a name? We work with people in the sex trade who might not be willing to give us their name. So you do not need to put down names. There needs to be some sort of like individual identifier. So when you look at, I don't have the log actually right now. Well, when you look at the log, it asks like, who's the person? What's the date? How many tickets were they given? What is the serial number of the tickets? And what was the purpose? And are they eligible? Are they either low income or experiencing homelessness? So it needs to be completed, right? So you could use an alias, you could use a first name, you could use a client identifier, you could use initials. It just needs to be clear that it's a specific person. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Great. Well, let's move on to the application process because that's kind of the meatiest part of today. So this is the timeline for the application. So it opened on Monday. The deadline for technical assistance from us, so that's like if you have questions about the application, you need to submit those by November 29th at 11:59 p.m. So that way we have time to respond to you before the application closes on November 30th at 11:59. And these are hard deadlines. They're not flexible. And then for those of you who have participated in the past, the last few years, we've been really good about getting your award notice out before January 1st so that you've been able to purchase tickets, basically at the start of the year. Because of various issues, that's not going to happen this year. We will not have awards until, I would guess, the first week of January, maybe even the second week of January. The whole process is kind of a week behind from what we normally are. So, if you're participating this year and you still have allocation or reallocation, you may want to purchase enough to get you through that first 2 weeks of January. I don't think that's an issue for many people right now, but if that is going to be an issue and you rely on it really strictly, then you'll want to kind of plan for a little delay in getting the awards out. And then in January, we'll ask you to promptly sign the memorandum of agreement so that you can begin purchasing tickets. And even if you aren't going to purchase right away in January, it's really helpful for you to sign the MOA so we know that you're accepting the award. It's happened in the past where somebody hasn't signed the MOA and then in June they say, oh, actually we don't need it. Well, that's great. We would like to have known in January because somebody else could have used it sooner probably. So yeah, just get in there and sign that quick. It doesn't mean you have to purchase. It just means that you're on board with the program, which we appreciate knowing. It's a tight timeline. The application is about 10 sort of unique questions. A lot of the other questions are just like your agency name. So it shouldn't take a really long time to complete. There's only one document required and we provide a template for that. So there's not a ton of writing that needs to go into the application. So you can access the application from the few places, the Housing and Community Development funding page, or you can get it from the general King County procurement page. The best place is just to go to the bus ticket program, and you'll see a link right there. It also probably was emailed out to most of you. If you're here, you probably got the email with the link too. So the application is through Zoom grants, which we've used now for I think 4 years. So some of you are familiar with it, and others of you may use it for other funding processes you're involved with. It's not perfect, but it does make things a lot easier than it used to be. So just sort of a base understanding, each application that's submitted is associated with a single account. So if I was applying for my organization, I would be the account owner. And as the owner, you can grant access to other people in the agency who are considered to be collaborators. And you can give them pretty much full functionality of the application. So they can write answers, they can click boxes, they can submit documents, they can submit reports. The only thing that a collaborator can never do is submit an application. So only the account owner can actually submit the application. It's possible, depending on your organization, that you have other accounts, applications in Zoom grants. We encourage the use of a shared or universal email account for a couple of reasons. If you leave this position or somebody else takes over the program, they don't have access to your account, it makes things more complicated. Some of you have probably actually been through that recently where you stepped into the role and you couldn't even get into the application. So having that shared account is really great. And if you talk to your IT department, you could even make one if you wanted specifically for the bus ticket program, or you can make a general one that you would use for any application you have in Zoom grants if you have more than one. That also allows you to view the applications if you use the same account every year. You can look back at previous years really easily and say, oh, how did we answer this question last year? How many tickets did we give out? Sort of all those questions you can refer back to your own application, which is really useful. Just an overview of changes this year. There are no significant changes. Last year we asked a question about what zip codes you'd be serving, and it was this really tough to use paragraph form where we had you like type them all out. It was, at the time, it was the only way we could collect that information, but now we have checkboxes, thankfully. So there's a real long list of checkboxes, but it's still easier than typing. And you'll see the question, but it's just asking you to list all the zip codes you serve. So if you're a large agency with lots of programs, you'd click all the ones that apply to all those programs. Yeah, so after, if you receive an award, we kind of already went through this, but if you receive an award, there's a few things you'll need to submit. One is the memorandum of agreement, which we encourage you to submit as soon as possible. And then the semi-annual usage logs, which are due in July and January of every year. So the first log due for 2022 will be in July 2022 for January to June 2022. And then the second report will be due January 2023 for the second half of 2022. So those aren't due for a while, but just to kind of keep it on your radar. Yeah. So, and we covered this a little bit with the email accounts, but just make sure that the right folks have access to the account. You can add collaborators. I would say there's better to add too many collaborators that don't need to use it than to have it real shut down and difficult to access. And then you also can mark Zoom grants. We message through Zoom grants sometimes, and I think sometimes they get marked as spam. So make sure the zoomgrants.com URL or web address is not marked by your spam filters if you can. So let's go into a demo of Zoom grants. Is it showing my browser screen right now? No.
Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay, great.
I am seeing the PowerPoint.
Oh,
screen.
okay. Let me reshare.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. PowerPoint with the little slides on the side.
Ah, okay. Okay. Now you should see the.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the bus ticket program website. And I won't spend do a whole walkthrough on it, but one thing is here on the side, we have information about using Zoom grants, like the sort of nuts and bolts of how you navigate the Zoom grants portal. And down here we have information about the RFP, including a link to the application, which is where we are going to go now to complete an application. So I click the link and it'll come up here as an open program, and I already have an account set up, but if you didn't, you would log in, or you would create an account here in this gray box on the right. So I'm logging in, and now I'll be able to click apply. Well, I can click preview if I want to just look at it before I create an account, and this is the full RFP questions and text and requirements. So if you want to preview without logging in, that's an option. But today we're going to apply. So I click apply. It brings me to the landing page of the application. These tabs here will show and hide various elements of the application. They should all be on show when you log in, but if you're not seeing something, we might want to go up there and look and make sure it's not hidden. So it starts with a little overview of the program, which we've kind of already gone through, and the program eligibility, along with the specific definition of homelessness that is used, and the low-income guidelines. And then more information about the program requirements, what needs to be, what the MOA looks like and what the policies and procedures look like. The requirements for managing tickets and ticket types, and some information about what, and Mark will go into this later, but what tickets you can purchase and what they're valid for. And then finally, some more information about the application process itself, which was also on the homepage and also in the email that you saw. So we won't go over that too much. And then down here, you'll get to the library, and there's two documents. One is a PDF version of the application and RFP. So if you want to print it or have it available for someone else to look at, that's a place you can do that. And then also we have the frequently asked questions, which are updated as questions come in. And it already is pretty, there's like 40 some questions we brought over from previous years. So if you have a question about the application, this is the best place to start. I think there's 42 questions. So somebody's probably already asked it, most likely. But if they haven't, you're welcome to email me at the Human Services Bus Ticket Program at kingcounty.gov, which I'm sure you maybe have it, but I'll put it in the chat before the end of today. So here we get to the actual questions of the application. And put in our agency name and the amount requested and the face value. So the amount requested is also sometimes called the allocation or allotment amount. And that is the amount of money that you will be paying for tickets. So how much your agency has budgeted to pay tickets. So we'll go into this a little more later too, but if I put $500 in the amount requested, that means my agency would receive an award for $500 in bus tickets. And what that would mean is we could go to King County Metro, and for $500, we could actually purchase $5,000 in face value of Metro tickets. So you're getting a 90% discount on the face value or the actual ticket value listed. So just to, I guess, rephrase it a different way, if you buy a $275 ticket, you'd pay 27 cents for the ticket. You can't just buy one ticket, but that's kind of to just break down the percentage. Yeah, again, just really straightforward, your agency name, address, email, telephone, executive director name. Here's an important part. Here's where you can add collaborators. So you can add a coworker, and you can give them editing access. It's important to click that because that will, like I said, that'll allow them to do everything except submit the application. So before we get sort of to the first questions, I'm actually going to scroll up a little bit again because I want to show you where the submit button is. So this is the submit now button. Once you've completed or filled out parts of the application that are required here, you can hit submit. And I would encourage you to do that sooner than later because almost every year there's somebody that like has a full application and they didn't hit submit before the deadline. So if I hit submit, well, I'll show you. Once I fill out the questions, if I hit submit, I can go back and change it at any time before the deadline, and I won't need to resubmit. So hitting submit early just kind of locks in the application as being submitted. It doesn't mean you can't go back and edit it before the deadline. So yeah, so we'll go through the questions here. So where are you planning on serving clients? Again, this is that zip code question. Just click the zip codes that you're going to be serving. There's an all up here if you're serving all of King County. And then hit next. When you're doing the actual application, you might want to hide all this text up here if you don't want to have to keep scrolling down to the bottom. It keeps, every time you hit next, it'll show all the procurement and background info. So here, just list the programs that will benefit from the bus tickets. So whatever your specific, I mean, you put the specific program names down. And if it changes at any point, that's fine too. If, you know, if you're like adding a new program, just email us and let us know that you're, you know, going to be serving another program. And then here's where you can click which council districts you'll be serving. There's a link here. It's not a, you have to copy and paste it, unfortunately, but there's a link that will show you the districts and take questions about what areas covered. And then question 3 is how many unduplicated clients or persons does your agency anticipate giving bus tickets to? So you can use historic information if you've participated before. This is, you know, your best guess. So if you're new, you might want to look at, you know, how many people do we serve, unduplicated people do we serve who are either meet the income requirement or are experiencing homelessness every month, because that's who we give them to, right? And you can put the number in that way. But yeah, really your best estimate. And then briefly describe how the bus and light rail tickets will be used. So, you know, it could be, if you have a shelter program, you might say, oh, we give one to people in the shelter every morning, or, you know, maybe you have a food bank and you give them out every Tuesday, or maybe you give them to everyone who's receiving case management services. There's, you know, there's no right answer. We just want to know how you're going to be giving them out. 5 is what activities will the human services bus ticket be used for? Again, it could be all of these, it could be one of these, but it's helpful for us to know what the sort of general intended purpose is. It doesn't mean that if you click housing assistance, you can't give one to someone because they have a family reunion in Federal Way. You know, like there's not, this doesn't limit you and who you can, in the reasons you can give tickets to. So just give us your best answer with the available information you have. And then what percentage of individuals served are low income? Again, depending on your program type, you'll have to look at the data you have available and give the best estimate that you can. Same with question 7, what percentage of individuals served are experiencing homelessness? I think a lot of places track that. So however you're, you know, if that's a daily log that you have, if it's an annual survey that you do, any of those means are totally acceptable. And then question 8 is a little confusing, but it's a required question by county procurement, so that's why it's here. But how would these funds support your organization? Again, you can click any or all of these. I mean, it wouldn't support planning or needs assessment. I can't imagine there's any way bus tickets would support that, but that is an option. And you can always type other if you feel like the work you're doing isn't captured by any of these categories. And there's a few equity and social justice questions, excuse me. These questions aren't scored. They are just informational questions that help us better understand the program and who we're working with and how we can serve the community better. And so it's a pretty open-ended question. It says, please identify a marginalized community that you plan to serve with the bus ticket program. That can be any community that you identify. And then we ask you just kind of walk through the particular barriers that you're seeing or the people in that community are facing and how you're going to distribute tickets in a way that will, you know, address those. Yeah, so they're real open questions, but we do appreciate thorough and thoughtful answers. And the rest of the questions are pretty straightforward, yes or no. Was your agency awarded in 2021? Yes, no, or did not apply in 2021? Sorry, for 2021, so last year's program, the 2020 application process. And then the certifications are, again, just a number of certifying that you are giving us your best answer and that you will use tickets appropriately if awarded, and that you'll take precautions to protect tickets. Yeah, in fact, they're not even optional. Oh, but I need to click them because I want to, sorry, I forgot that I wasn't filling it out. I want to show you how the submittal works. And then, yeah, just a signature box, basically, and questions or comments. If you have them, and suggestions for better service. So another thing I should point out about Zoom Grants is it automatically saves. You maybe saw it pop up on my screen. When you click outside a text box, it saves. So let me change this to, so it just saved when I clicked out. It's important to do that periodically so that if you're typing a long box of text, you don't want your browser to freeze on you and then you haven't saved. You also can, expand the text box here. And it's, I think, generally pretty friendly for copying and pasting. So it might be best, to build the application out in a Word document and then copy and paste the text in once you're close to having a final answer, just to avoid potentially losing anything, which, yeah, could happen. So I think I filled out all the form, and then I'm going to hit the submit button. Oh, I missed 8, 11. Oh, and documents. Okay. Let's see. So it'll tell you if you missed something. And there's a required document, which is the policy and procedure template, which I forgot to show you. I'm going to try to share the right screen here. Well, I'm being lost in my own Zoom windows here, but you can download the downloads, and then you can fill it out, and then you can upload it back after you name it. You can upload it back into Zoom Grants right here. And I'm gonna hit refresh page because I just uploaded the document right there. And now it is, included in the application. So yeah, so after the questions, you submit the one document, and then you can hit submit now. It'll ask for your initials. And now my application has been submitted. And like I said, if you decide, you'll get an email confirmation that's been submitted, but and you'll get this, which you can download a copy of, which I'd encourage you to do. Oh, which I encourage you to do if you want to make sure you have like printed receipt, because it won't actually, okay, it won't show it to you. It won't show that to you again. Okay, yeah. I don't know why it keeps going back. Well, it shouldn't kick you out like it just kicked me out. But when we log back in, we should be able to make sure that it's submitted properly. Yeah, so here you can see the previous years, so if you use the same account, you can go back and look at last year's to look at the questions and what your submission was, what your use was. So another reason to use a shared account. Oh, I went to the wrong one. Here we go. Okay, so here's submitted applications. $500. It says it's submitted. You can hit check status, and that'll give you information. So no decision's been made. It was submitted at its time. But what I was going to show you is, so even though I've submitted, as long as I go in before the deadline of 11:59 p.m. on the 30th, I can change my answers, and it'll automatically up. So like I requested $500. Let's say, I messed up the number, and actually I want to do 5,000. It's now saved this, and it will be, when it's reviewed, this will be the number that is included, not the old number. So that's kind of the basic application information. I'm going to go back to the slideshow here. If you have questions about the application after today, and after, you're welcome to ask later on today too, but if tomorrow you have questions, if it's related to Zoom grants, like your account doesn't work, password reset, you keep getting an error of some sort, you're going to want to email questions@zoomgrants.com. They're the people that will help you with those like technical questions. If it's a content related question, like I don't understand which zip codes to click or this question, then you should email hs.busticketprogram@kingcounty.gov, and that'll come to DCHS, to us, where we can then answer that question. And the deadline for doing that is the night before the application is due, so that we have time to actually, get an answer to you. So keep that in mind. If you have questions, it's better to ask them sooner rather than later. Yeah, get started now and give yourself time to take care of last minute issues, submit early, and make corrections if you need, and know at least that it'll be coming, that it's been submitted already. And then review the library materials, which is the FAQ that's already in there, will provide a lot of answers. So yeah, so before we go into like ticketing details, are there any questions about the application?
Charles, we had a question in the chat around whether faith communities, even with 501c3 status, who desire to give these out to people experiencing homelessness, et cetera, are qualified to apply.
Yeah, so like, are faith-based 501c3s eligible? Is that?
I do believe that it's the question.
Yeah, any 501c3 is eligible regardless of religious affiliation. So, we serve like sometimes over 200 agencies a year, so it's a huge range. It's Department of Corrections sometimes. It's like, it could be a church food pantry that's open once a month. Like there's no there's no restrictions about sort of within those groups. There's no other restrictions. So yeah. Okay, let's see. So it looks like in the chat, does the signature list have to be a new document, or can you use the one that's been submitted before? I think, well, Mark, maybe they should submit one every year, right? Does the signature list change, or is it dated?
The signature list is dated, so they need to put one in each year.
Yeah, so put one in each year, and you can always change it too. If you change who's authorized, just upload the new signature list, so that we know. You can do that anytime, as many times as you want. These older questions. So the person that left your account, you don't have access to it. Yeah. So the Zoom Grants website actually has a help article all about what to do if someone leaves your agency and kind of takes their account with them. In most cases, if you really can't like do a password reset to recover the account or anything, you can email questions@zoomgrants.com and tell them that you are, needing to access this particular account. They will ask you, or probably ask, that whoever's listed as the executive director on the application emails them to confirm that you're, authorized to do that. So you might, depending on the size of your agency and how easy it is to get that person's ear, you might want to just have the executive director on that email to Zoom Grants right away. So you don't have to go back and then ask them to to confirm that you're the right person. Yeah, and if your ED is left too, or that's just not possible, then email us at the bus ticket program and we can figure out an alternative. But first step is go to the Zoom Grants help page, and anytime you're on the Zoom Grants page, there's a help section up in the right that takes you to a section with a bunch of help articles, and they have one on this specifically. So you also can just create a new account. So you don't have to. Yeah, you could just create a new account, but you wouldn't have access to previous year's applications. And if you participated last year, you're going to need to submit some reporting for this year on that application. So if you received an award this year for 2020-21, that reporting will be due in 2022, January. And you'll have to be able to access that application. Otherwise, then you won't be in compliance, and it creates a whole kind of problem. So. Oh, Sky, I didn't see you already addressed that question. Sorry.
No worries. You provided a lot of additional information. I think that was very helpful.
Were there any other questions that weren't just Zoom Grants? No.
There's one at the end here about, I don't think I quite understand the question about Snohomish County and Pierce County. I think the question is if they also have King County bus ticket program offers. I'm confused by that question.
I think the question is, do Snohomish County and Pierce County have equivalent programs to the King County program? And I think Pierce County does, and Mark might know for sure. I know there's one agency that I monitored this year, and they had they could get you anywhere in Washington State with bus tickets locally. They had Kitsap County bus tickets. I think there are other options. Mark?
Yeah, they're each of the agencies. There's I know that Community Transit and Pierce Transit have it's not the same type of program as that we have. They usually, my understanding is that they have X amount of tickets that they are available for the agencies. I know that Pierce Transit this year had received a grant to cover tickets for their human service ticket program. And whether they got it for next year, I don't know. And then Community Transit, if I remember correctly, they work with one agency that they provide tickets for. That agency, then people contact that agency to other agencies to get tickets. They don't actually administer it themselves, is my understanding. But you'd have to contact either, Community Transit or Pierce Transit.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And Mark will go into ticketing right now, but we also cover Sound Transit tickets as well. So yeah, so Mark can talk about that too. Great, yeah. So Mark, are you ready to roll on tickets? You want to just tell me when to advance the slide, and I'll
sure. So let's get going. So for the ticketing, again, the tickets, it's, can I order the tickets by mail? You can order the tickets by mail. We have the ticket form that you just fill it up and mail it to the address on the top. We'll show you that later. You can walk into Metro, get the tickets. Either you don't need to call ahead. The only time you may want to check ahead of time is if you are ordering 10,000 books, you might want to check. But we have the inventory on hand now. We've increased our safe space. And if you buy the wrong tickets, can they be exchanged or returned? And the answer is we can do it on the same day that you just purchased them and you come back and and we get them back. We can do it. Otherwise, we cannot. Once the tickets are gone out the door, then they're not refundable or exchangeable. So, then you go next. Before we accept your order, we'll just have to make sure that we have the two documents. One that your MOA has been signed, because once if it's, and then you just got to go to Zoom Grants and sign, then we can add your allocation to the system so that you're able to purchase, and that you have the authorization list. The easiest is to upload it in Zoom, the Zoom Grants, because then we have an electronic version, and when you come in, we just print it out. But you can bring the, if you're coming in person and you have the original one, you can bring that with you when you come to pick up the tickets. But without those, the signature list, we can't release the tickets. And if you need to make sure the person who is picking up the tickets is on that authorization list, because we can't release them to anybody who's not on that list. Next, in order to, when you're ordering the ticket or picking them up, you can visit our office, Monday through Friday, where we are closed at lunch from 1 to 2, I believe. Or you can mail the ticket in, or your form or order form in, and then we'll process it, and then we'll call you when the tickets are ready to get picked up. We can't mail them out. They have to actually be picked up because they have to be signed for when they're picked up. You can also drop off your or ticket form and payment, and then pick them up at a later date. And we'll call you when they're ready. Then the next, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say and the order form is on the bus ticket program website, so that's where you can print it out.
Yep. And then you can either, check, or you can do a credit card. We have to really emphasize, you do not put your credit card in an email. Even if you fill out the form and scan it, that's the same as putting it in an email. If we do that, we can't process the order. We can't use the credit card number. And we have to have our IT department come in and scrub our email account to get that off the server, because it's information that we're not allowed to keep. So we just really need to bring that one home. That never put a credit card number in an email. We're not anticipating the fare change. So for 2022, so you'll just base your the type of books you want on the current fares.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't update this slide properly. It should say 2022, and you can ignore the gray part because there's no new fare structure to consider. So think about that.
Yeah, and then this is the human service ticket order form at the top. This is where our main office is. So this is where you'd pick up the tickets, or call if you had questions, and then the email address. You can also email the information, except for, again, not the credit card. And then when you're looking at the tickets, we have the 3 different types of tickets. Are for the fares. We have the adult fare is $2.75, the youth fare is $1.50, and then the senior and disabled is $1. We have the different types of ticket books. They're sold. You have the adult tickets, and they have their value is $55, but they're sold at $5.50. And then the youth, reduced fare permit, the Sound Transit all-day link ticket, and then the Sound Transit Metro combo ticket. Now we'll go on the difference between the two, but the link ticket is a link-only ticket that Sound Transit is providing for the human service agencies who have an allocation that these books are not, that are purchased, are not used against the allocation. So you can purchase them without, and it doesn't, count against your allocation. But we sell the books on behalf of Sound Transit. And again, good one. No credit cards, please. then, so the next. So the way that the books work is if you're awarded, $55, you could purchase 10 adult books. So how much would the agency have purchase after you purchase? So the books would at $550 would equal $55. So that would use up all of your allocation. And then the scenario B, it's if you were awarded $100 and you ordered 10 combo books, how much would your agency have after the purchase? So the combo books are a little different because we have to adjust that because there are Metro tickets and Sound Transit tickets in the books, and we're not, by the code, we're not allowed to go over the 90% discount. We have to, there's an allocation debit that we put on. So your agency would purchase the 10 books for $65. And then there would be an allocation of $15 for the difference between to adjust for the Sound Transit tickets in the book. And so there'd be $20. It would take $80 of the allocation, and so you have $20 left. But your agency would only pay $65 for the tickets. They wouldn't pay the $80 for the tickets. This one is a little confusing, and I hope at some point we're able to fix this. But right now, because the reason for this is that we wanted people to be able to use the Metro tickets and also the Link tickets because there's 20 Metro tickets and 10 Link light rail tickets in the book. And so we then have to reimburse Sound Transit for the Link tickets, which would put us over the 90% discount. Okay.
I think, Mark, sometimes people get afraid of the combo books because it's a little confusing, but you're welcome to call us and we can talk through it again. I just want to point out that, like, dollar for dollar, it's the best value in tickets really that you can get. It might take more of your allocation, but for $650, you get a full book of Metro tickets and 10 Link tickets. So it really is it's a good deal for that matter, but it is a little confusing. So if you have questions, you can always call and ask us about it. So.
Now, so if your agency was awarded $100 and you wanted to purchase 10 Link-only ticket books, how much would your agency have left of your allocation? So it would cost $65 for the books, but these books don't account against your allocation. So you still have your $100 of allocation remaining for these books.
So basically the Link-only tickets don't count against your allocation, right, Mark? Is that another way to say it?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the link tickets are an all-day ticket that is that you write in the date in permanent black permanent ink, and at I believe it's on the top of it, and then you show it. Your clients will show it to the fare inspector when they're using, and they can use it all during that date.
It's right here
on the light rail. It does not work to go use it on the light rail, then go take a bus and show it on the bus. Yeah.
An important distinguishing fact. So my background is actually a combo ticket right now. So the light rail ticket's here. Metro tickets are here. Important thing to know is that the Sound Transit tickets expire at the end of the year. So for 2022, they'll expire on December 31st, 2022. The Metro tickets don't expire. So you really don't want to overpurchase Sound Transit tickets because they'll be useless after the end of the year. If you overpurchase Metro tickets by accident, you'll still be able to use them. We discourage people from buying more than they'll use in the year because you're still required to report and collect all the information. And we don't anticipate a fare change right now, but fare changes happen. And if you end up with tickets that are, $2, and now the fare is, or the fare goes to $3.50 and your tickets are $2, you're kind of, in a tough spot. So don't go wild like stocking up. There's just it's not just, it doesn't help get them out into the community, and there's no reason to do that. But if you end up with extras, which certainly happens, you can still use the Metro tickets in the next year. So
yeah, the Metro tickets on the combo tickets do have an expiration date, but the Metro only tickets don't. I don't think it shows it on your screen, but
I don't know either. Yeah. It's not actually behind me, is it?
yeah.
Great. So that's kind of all the questions about, or all the information about ticketing and all the information about the application. Are there any questions? Looks like Dora wondering where we can access the authorized signature list from. The authorized signature list will be in Zoom grants after awards are made. So you don't need to submit that until you're awarded. And once you're awarded, you'll see a new tab in Zoom grants that says Memorandum of Agreement, and that's where you'll click to electronically sign the Memorandum of Agreement. You literally click in a box and type the name in and put the date and hit enter. There's no printing involved. And then we'll also, under the other documents tab, I believe, or yeah, other documents tab, we'll put the signature list in where you can print it out. So, but those won't be there till after you are awarded. So don't worry if they're not. If you don't see them now, that's fine. So, any other questions? I mean, if you want to unmute and ask, go for it.
Hello everyone. Destiny here at Child Care Resources, Early Head Start program. So I wanted to ask about the Pierce County ticketing program. I know you all mentioned those. Will those be included in the PowerPoint or email you all send out as well? And then also, will direct information for each of you be included in the email for questions?
Yeah, so I thought my email was at the end here. I'll go back to a slide that has it. So in regards to Pierce County, we don't have anything to do with anything outside of King County. And so don't know. You can, why don't you email actually both? So generally if it's about ticket sales and stuff, you'd send it to the green address on the left. And if it's about like the application and stuff, you'd send it to the blue email on the right. So the green is kind of Mark's, area of work, and the blue is kind of my area of work. So that's the best way to contact us in general. If you want to email us, Destiny, about Pierce County, we can see what I don't know. I can see what we can dig up, but not sure how their program works.
Thank you. That helps a lot.
Yeah. If anybody, maybe somebody else on the call actually knows. I forget who it was this year, but somebody had a whole collection of local transit tickets that I was envious of. I was like, you could take the bus from here to Spokane on their bus tickets. So I thought that was cool. Any other questions?
I can put the link in the chat here for their program.
Great, thanks. Something else I'll send out in the email probably today or tomorrow is we have a Zoom Grants tip sheet that just kind of gives you some common tips on issues people run into, like signing up for accounts. And so I'll send that out in the email as well. If you were forwarded this email, for this meeting, I would encourage, you should go sign up for our mailing list, because I'm actually going to send an email to the whole mailing list, not just to people on this call. And you can sign up for the mailing list on our website, which I will, where is here, which I'll show you where to do that exactly, but so right here it says sign up for funding opportunity alerts. So that's just our general mailing list. So if you haven't yet, and you're new to the program, or someone just forwarded to you, put your email in there, and then you'll make sure to get all our announcements, and you'll get the information from today as well. I'm going to give a couple more seconds if anybody wants to ask anything. It's a great time, and everybody can learn from it, hopefully. So yeah, any other questions? Well, awesome. I appreciate you all taking the time to come today and listen to this. It's, you know, it's really the work that you all do to get these tickets into the community is really important, and we appreciate your partnership. And it can be a challenging program because of the nature of tracking little pieces of paper. Like, that's kind of wild to think about, I think. But you know, it's so vital for people to be able to get where they need to go. And I'm glad that you all are partnering with us and making that happen. So thank you so much. And yeah, have a great day.
Charles,
oh,
it
yeah.
seems that Laura is expressing some difficulty having signed up for that email list that you mentioned, but did not receive an RFP email. Do you have any insight or thoughts about that?
No, I can see who it was sent to, Laura, and I can make sure that you're on the list. It is sent through a mailing service called Gov Delivery, which is what the county uses for a lot of like large mailings. So potentially it's going to your spam. Have you checked it?
Yeah, it's not in my spam. I got it forwarded from our manager, so I did receive it that way. But when I use that link that you sent, the sign up link, then there's like all these opportunities to check the boxes you want to receive. So I'm thinking maybe I didn't check the right one. It wasn't super clear to me.
It should just say you're subscribed or whatever. That's weird.
Okay. Maybe it's me. It's probably me.
No, I don't know. I mean, there's 300 boxes. Okay. Just check them all, and then you'll know everything about, you know, anything in King County. You'll know what's going on. No, if you email me, Laura, I will make sure you're on the right.
Okay, because it's. I mean, I could show you my screen now. I just tried it again, and it pulls up like a bazillion options, and so I wasn't. And none of them are like. None of them say the name of this program, which is why I was confused. Yeah,
that is weird. I don't know.
It's not quite that simple.
Yeah, okay. That's good to know. I appreciate that. And we'll see if we can fix that. If you are in Zoom grants associated with the account as a collaborator or applicant, we also send it to those folks for the past like 3 years. So okay. But yeah, if you're new to, if you haven't been working on it and your account isn't there, then yeah, you wouldn't get everything. So
okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? Great. Well, yeah, again, thank you so much for coming, and feel free to email us if you have questions, and enjoy the rest of your sunny, as of now, Wednesday.